Hi, I'm Colin East. I'm just about to embark on a trip around Australia, do the big lap as such. It's probably a half lap actually, we're only doing Western Australia. I'm taking a fishing boat, and today's video is just to show you the boat and all the features. So let's go. So this is the boat. I've built the trailer myself, bought the hull originally, and then attempted to build the trailer around it. The trailer is built for off-road, not so much four-wheel driving, but just off-road so we can get in and out of places. So if we walk around to this side, we can have a bit of a look underneath. You can see that it's independent suspension. It's all pretty solid. It's sprung fairly well, and we've got shock absorbers on it. So if you push the boat, you'll notice that there's no flapping around or wobbling around or anything like that. The trailer is really fitted and built to the boat, and the whole purpose of that is to get any shock into the suspension, not into the boat. So that's the main purpose of that. So it's adjustable and it's a slider type setup. We have a look underneath the boat. It looks like it's a fair way off the ground, and we need ground clearance if we're going to go off of dirt tracks and those sorts of places. That'll work against you when you're on the beach because of the height. But the interesting thing is I've put this boat on a commercial trailer, and they're both pretty much the same height, and the boat sits about 500 off of the ground, so I haven't really lost anything by creating the extra clearance underneath. So walking around to the front, I'll show you some of the features at the front. It's got hydraulic brakes. You can see the hydraulic brake lines in here. That's not really a benefit. However, with the independent suspension, I had no choice, so we couldn't fit up a cable type setup. So if we do knock anything like that, the pipes and so forth, and I get a leak, I'm going to lose the braking. Fortunately, the car should be able to brake with this sort of weight on it, so it shouldn't be too dangerous. So the front of it, standard sort of a winch setup. This one has a handle that comes on and off. Total pain for myself because I forget to take this and it drops off every time I drive it away from the ramp. I'm probably going to actually get that fixed at some stage so it won't come off. It's a retrieve hook. So the whole idea of this is I can drive the boat on rather than having to wind it on all the time. It saves your arms. This setup here, the beauty of this is we've got two cars on this particular trip, and they're both at very different heights. So you need this sort of setup to be able to get the hitch onto the various heights, or the two different heights of the cars. Okay, around to this side, spare wheel holder, which has probably three functions. One, just to hold the spare wheel. The second is the actual hub. That hub is the same as any of the other hubs. Anyone who's had any experience with boating and hubs, you get salt water in the back of the bearing and they collapse on you about halfway home usually. So this is a bit of insurance. If we lose a bearing, I can just slip the hub off and then put that back on. The other part is this is used for launching and retrieving off of a beach, and this becomes a third wheel. And the whole purpose is this wheel rotates, the boat sits on the wheel, and you physically push the trailer into the water, and I use my snatch trap onto the front of the hitch here, and that way the boat only goes in the water and the car doesn't go in the water. So I've set up this little hitch thing here, and pull it out, rotate it. The wheel goes on the ground, we wind this up, and eventually that'll click into place. And all we do is just push the boat in and retrieve it back out. So inside the boat now, taking the cover off, so I'll just quickly go over the boat and what we've got. So first of all, it's a center console. Center console probably is not appropriate or as appropriate for South Australian fishing. can't show you the sea at the moment. It's a bit choppy out there and a lot wetter and colder, but up north it's not so bad. The beauty is, if you have a quick look around, it's the fishing space. So if I walk down here, I could probably get 4 people on board, but it's more about being able to get up creeks and cast and do that type of stuff as well. So in the console itself, I've got this particular unit's a Dragonfly 5. I chose this because it's got a chirp sounder on it, as well as the chart plotter, so that's all good. Underneath there you can see the electrics and how I've wired it all up and so forth. It's not particularly nice and it needs some finishing off. There's some exposed terminals, but it's sufficient for now. And I've got the accessory battery underneath there. The accessory battery is charged with a DC to DC, so this is our Red Arc unit here. I'll go over that in another second or so. At the front of the boat. So this is set up with a winch. Probably overkill, however my back's a little dodgy and I do care about the backs of my crew, so it's nice to have this particular unit on board. I've got a heavier anchor. I have had trouble in some windier shallow spots where a normal size anchor just drags, so it's not much fun when you got to keep moving spots and going back to your spot when the wind's blown you off. So that's why I've got a heavier anchor. And on this one there's also, if you have a look at this bit, a couple of cable ties. And the whole idea of the cable ties is if you're stuck on the bottom, you drive over so it's direct and it'll break those cable ties. And then the chain pulls from the front of the anchor. So underneath I've got my safety equipment, the life jackets, fire extinguisher and the E-perb and all that sort of stuff. There's flares and the V-sheet. Front of the console, this is our rod rack. So the rods that we're using on the day and we're fishing with, hooked up with reels and so forth, can sit there. We can just get them out as we need them. However, if we look underneath, I've got a set of racks underneath for that as well. So when I'm driving from place to place, I store all my fishing gear within the boat, and I use these. Basically, these are a bike setup, so these are bike locks, and it's made of a thin cable. And at the moment, that's holding my esky in place, but it also goes through the large eye of the fishing rods, and that can stop people knocking your rods off as well. The esky itself, this is an Evercool, and it's effectively an ice box. So if I just flick the lid up, you can currently see that I'm storing the bait inside in the freezer section, and that's some leftover stuff from the fridge that the boss put in there. But it gives us a bit of extra fridge space when we need it. Keeps the bait out of the fridge in the caravan, and the boss is quite happy. And best of all, it acts as a seat which you can just sit around and fish from the back. So got the usual sort of thing, our bait board, but in the corner I've also got the bait well. Okay. So that keeps the live squid and other live bait fresh and ready to go. I also use it for if I'm catching small fish. I just throw my fish straight into there before I put them in the esky and keep them cool and so forth. The motor is a Mercury 60 horse 4-stroke. I think I would have preferred a 2-stroke, but they're basically not making them anymore. My older boat had a 2-stroke, and they get out of the hole a lot quicker, so they get up on the plane. This one, they recommend the minimum is 50, so I went up a little bit, but I didn't put the maximum size on, which is a 75. The bottom line is that just uses fuel. If you get somewhere quicker, so what? If we're in a remote area, fuel is going to be at a premium for us. So that's why I've tended to keep the engine size down. It seemed a little underpowered when I first got it. Then I took it for its first service, and I think they may detune them a little first getting them. Anyway, it's certainly running a little bit better now. What we'll do now is just jump outside the boat, and I'll just show you the setup that feeds the water into the live bait tank. So I'm at the back of the boat, so with the live bait tank you need to get fresh water into the live bait tank. When I'm moving along, it's a little difficult to see, but if you can get to this part, the water gets forced into that tube and then into the tank. So when you're driving along, it's a really good way of keeping your water flow turning over. But when you're on your actual spot, you still need that water flowing. If you don't keep the water flowing, then your live bait's going to die. So all I've got is a simple bilge pump setup, and just turn that on at the console, and that just keeps the water ticking over nicely. So the last couple of things I want to show you about the boat is simply I fitted this to the console. Effectively it's a tackle box, and for example that's got the cable ties that go onto the anchors. The last thing I want to do is forget them, break them off, and then I haven't got an anchor. And the other piece of kit I've got is effectively a marine esky. And this was going cheap in Bunnings and they were getting rid of it. It serves two purposes. The first purpose is when I'm travelling along, I can put all my gear in there. So whether I'm travelling in the boat or whether we're towing the boat to another location, all the fishing gear sits in there. Same thing, I can secure it by using the bike locks. All through there, I haven't got the bike lock set up at the moment, but it's also fixed to the deck. And because it's a marine esky and it's a really strong esky, it does two things. So it's going to be durable, and I'll just flip the lid to show you. That's for when we're parked in the caravan park. We just put a padlock on it. And inside I've got my tackle box, I've got some wet weather gear and spare knife and so forth. My marine radio, you know what that's for. and a few other bits and pieces. There's some more gear down the bottom as well. So it's all storage space. If I get a big fish and get really lucky, get a good mackerel, I've actually got somewhere to put it, and just to keep it out of the sun. And if I'm in a creek somewhere, it acts as a casting deck. So it's multiple functions. That was thirsty work. As I said, today is about 42 degrees, so cool beverage is certainly warranted right now. That was the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe to my channel.